If you watched my first video on hand independence, I recommended simplifying your left hand pattern so that there was minimal or no harmonic motion. In this video, I'm going to explore a few of the challenges when you start adding more complex harmonies to your left hand. So, starting with our original 2-bar pattern, let's create a 4-bar pattern that changes harmony. To start, we'll move it to F minor. This is the simplest of transpositions at the piano. I call it a physical transposition. Spatial relationships, hand positions, and note clusters under the hand are all the same. Finger-to-finger motion is the same too. The only difference is where it's physically located in relation to your body, so learning this pattern shouldn't be too difficult. The most difficult part is how F minor changes spatial and harmonic gravity in relation to your right hand. Your right hand, which is used to only playing in relation to C7, now needs to use different scales, note clusters, and hand positions to express the new key. So practice will be in two parts. First is learning to play in F minor using a 2-part pattern. And second is learning how to switch between the two keys using a 4-bar pattern. Let's try a different key. In Bud Powell's Un Poco Loco, it moves to G7, so let's try that pattern. With that semitone cluster shifted in the middle, the hand position feels a bit different. But the biggest difference is how metric and rhythmic resolution is now directed towards the second finger. This is a really big change and makes this pattern more difficult than resolving to F minor. But you would practice it in the same way. First, learning to play it just in G7. This includes getting used to resolving to the second finger and the left hand and all the new scales, note clusters, and hand positions in your right. And then learning to switch between C7 and G7. So there are two main lessons here that I hope you can apply to any left hand pattern you're learning. The first is using this process of separating two patterns, practicing them in isolation, and then stitching them together. This is pretty important for practice, difficulty management, and learning in general. The second lesson is about understanding how two patterns are physically similar or different. For example, to what degree do these two patterns share spatial relationships? Transposing a pattern up a semitone preserves some spatial relationships, but changes others. A pattern could also be wider or narrower. And how does movement through that space compare between patterns? Like, does it use the same sequence of fingers or arrive at different beats in the same right to left motion? This pattern, for example, uses the same spatial relationships, but movement through it is inverted. All of these examples are demonstrating a spectrum of physical relationships at the piano. Instead of using just harmonic or rhythmic theory as a basis for practice, physical relationships help me problem solve quicker and create more focused exercises.